Welcome to the football show here on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel, sponsored by Indigo Communications. I'm Peter Martin. Alan Ruff and Tam Cowan are here with me. All of us have decided to stay on. There will be no resignations on this show, Ruffy. We are staying. We are not quitters.
No, we're not going to be pushed by anybody. Is anybody pushing us?
It's a joke, isn't it?
Oh, the world's gone mad.
No, what I'd love to do right now, it's the first VAR game on Friday night, Hibs against St Johnstone. Willie Collum is going to be in charge of it. Put Liz Truss in charge of it, just for a laugh, just to give us hundreds of things to talk about. It would be brilliant.
Well, the big debate is Cloughy lasted 44 days at Leeds.
Aye.
And I think there's a debate over whether she's lasted 44 or 45 days, you know.
Aye, it's meant to be 45, or as Jack Ross called it, a good innings.
Yeah, exactly. So,
did Jack Ross get longer than Sean Maloney?
Yes, he did. Yes,
did he?
Yes. Sean got 19 games.
Right.
Jack got a wee bit more.
Who are the great short-lived appointments in Scottish football?
In Scottish football, Sean Maloney's 19 games. It's a good question.
Stephen Glass?
No, you get quite a good run as well.
You had one. It was they weren't jotted. You get like Tommy McLean when he went to Wraith, but then his brother realised he wanted him at Tannadice.
Yeah,
remember?
Yeah, it's a good question. Let's put it out there. Let's see. It was the shortest reign of a manager
in Scottish football for a manager.
Lou Macari didn't do too long.
No. He was still there for a.
No, it was because he wasn't there.
Aye, because he wasn't there.
John Barnes, does he last?
John Barnes got a fair whack at it.
I think it would have to be Sean Maloney or Jack Ross.
Yeah,
certainly in the modern era.
I remember one of our pals left very quickly. Dick left quickly at one of the clubs he was at.
Yeah, Marlon's just said Paul Le Guen. That was one hell of a ride as well. It's a
good question.
It's a great question.
Let's get the answer.
Oh, Gregor says, what about Jim Gannon?
Nah, he still got a good innings.
Did he get a good run?
Aye.
Okay. Hi to so many of you.
And he beat Man United.
Yeah.
He's got that in his CV. That was quite cute. Well, Jim Gannon was there. You remember this thing? You might have heard it, Peter. The Sunlight. It's the Matt Busby Cup or something.
At Bellshill.
It's actually for youths and that, right?
Yeah.
But Motherwell played Man United and they played the game at Fir Park. So it was just boys, right? Just kids, right? But the scoreboard still had Motherwell 1, Man United now, and apparently Jim Gannon was seen getting a wee photo just to slide into the CV.
It's well worth it. I think one of our producers, Anne, who just said there's a wee bit here that says Paul Scholes. You remember he took the job at Oldham for 31 days and decided it wasn't for him.
Yeah, and
31 days is good going as well.
And if Oldham was in Scotland, that would count.
No, we can't find Scottish at the moment. We'll find it because people will be on the case with it. Lots to talk about. Thank you very much if you've joined us and you've hit the subscribe button. We really appreciate it. And thanks to everyone who's downloaded the app and listening on the podcast. Main news before we get into the meat and bones of the three quarter-finals that were played last night to complete everything and give us the draw for the semi-finals. Let's talk about Kyle Lafferty. It's a 10-game ban he's been handed, which by all accounts, as we looked at all the games, Ruffy, means he'll return for the Scottish League Cup semi-final, and that's on the 14th of January.
Well, I don't have a problem with the punishment. I think when you get something like this, you've got to set out a message to possibly more inexperienced youngsters who are out there, and it sets down the rules that this is what's going to happen. So you would hope that they would learn a lesson from that punishment and not want to be out that long. You know, basically that's what it is. It's sent out a message to everybody else and hopefully learns from it.
Right. There'll be Kelly fans raging about this. Sorry, I'm about. Oh, I thought it was going to sneeze.
Yeah.
Oh, no. There we go. That's fine. That's a first. Who's been? Have you been out the Dugs? You've been out walking the Dugs. You said you were at
Dugs anyway. My dogs are up.
Yeah, because that will sound great on the podcast.
No, I think it's only dead dogs I'm allergic to. No, that's the normal thing. It only sparks it. Maybe dogs hypoallergenic or whatever you call it. Have you been anywhere near Dugs?
No, I'm allergic to them as well.
Right. Okay.
So,
don't know what brought that on there. But anyway. what I was going to say, sore one for the Kelly fans. There'll be a lot of Kelly fans saying, wait a minute, we kind of gave this guy a chance. He'd already been at the club, etc. We brought him back in. Even more annoying for their point of view is that I think he scored the opener in the quarter-final the other night, So maybe they think, that's him, he's starting to find the back of the net, and then wallop a 10-game ban because of a bit of sheer stupidity when he's out and about. But I think as a case, he's more to be pitied than scalded, as Billy Connolly would say, because the guy needs to be educated on that front, and he needs to even be educated in terms of, if you see somebody when you're out and about who comes up to you, knows your name, knows what you do, and sticks a mobile phone camera in front of you, you know that whatever happens next, whether you say something lovely and it's going to go in, isn't he a nice guy, look who I met the other night, or in this case, if it's something seen as abusive or sectarian or however you want to call it, that's going to, of course, feature.
I think it's a
Derek McInnes must be hitting his head against the manager's wall,
Well, absolutely. As long as Daniel Armstrong keeps scoring worldies, he'll be all right. But he has released a statement, Kyle Lafferty. This is what he had to say on the whole affair.
Has it been edited?
No, I want to.
Is he directing it at you?
No, shut up, you will. No, he's not. I want to deeply apologise to the club supporters and my family for the distress caused over the past month. I totally acknowledge that my reaction to the incident was completely out of order. There is no excuse. It's something that I immediately regretted and have been embarrassed about it ever since. I absolutely accept that I should have not responded to provocation in that manner. I placed myself in a position that has been very difficult to deal with, so now I'm determined to work with nil by mouth to ensure that others, particularly the youngsters at the club, learn from my mistake and avoid putting themselves in any type of similar situation in the future. Listen,
if he wrote that, I wrote great expectations.
Well, of course. I think what you've got to do with people, and we all have a bit of banter about it, but you've got to look and say to yourself, okay, as long as the sentiment is honest and true, I am of the belief, Ruffy, that everybody deserves a second chance. Some people deserve third and fourth chances, I have to say. But at the end of the day, in the context of this, there are others who are in this society say, if you make a mistake, bump him. That's it. You're finished. You're tarred for life. Whatever. He's got to be given a second chance. Get on with it. He's at the tail end of his career. He's made a mistake. And we move on.
Yeah, as long as he shows remorse, and it's the same with everybody. I think it makes it a lot easier for you. The lessons is there for him, and you just hope he learns it. But I think the good point he made there is for the younger players at the club. They now know where they are and what they've got to do at the club.
Ruffy, they do know, and I'll tell you why. He slipped up, but the PFA, and because I work closely with them, the PFA in Scotland go out and do a brilliant job going out there, chatting to the players and saying, look, you must be aware of the dangers of social media.
Yep.
You've got to understand how to use it, when to engage, what you're saying out there. You can't drag it back. And there is a real educated programme out there, to try and say to people, be aware of the pitfalls.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? That will be a sore one for him. The punishment, it would seem, fits the crime. 10 weeks out. I mean, what the guy does is play football, and you know what it's like. And Ruffy would tell you, the minute these guys stop playing football, you miss it immediately. I miss the dressing room. I miss actually going out, running out there at 5-3 onto the pitch. That's a long period. He's out for, and it might even be the case. You're saying that he'll be back for the semi-final, but does Derek McInnes, after 10 weeks in absence and not hear about match fitness and everything, does he just chuck him in there? And then Derek's put in this terrible situation where if he does chuck him in there and then, he's clearly no fit and he pulls up with a hamstring or something, it's Derek that's going to get flamed. So the whole thing is a mess, but I think the punishment's fair enough.
Yeah, okay. So he moves on. He's got a long time to try and keep himself fit. Before we talk about the games, just a little sad note, and ironically, Ruffy, we'd mentioned this man yesterday on the programme. We're talking about great partnerships, which we did mention Willie Pettigrew and Bobby Graham. Excellent. By the way. But we were talking about Jimmy Millar and Ralph Brandon. Sadly today, Rangers confirmed that Jimmy Millar had died at the age of 87. Now, for a certain vintage fan who remembers Jimmy Millar, I looked back at some old footage on YouTube today, and boy, he could score with the head, left and right foot. You know, one of those players that I think the general feeling was 12 years at Rangers. One of those tough, brave, quick centre forwards, and with, of course, Ralph Brand, they had a good partnership.
Yeah, they certainly did, and the players of that era, you know, will always be remembered. You throw Davy Wilson into that group as well, and they were a wonderful side then, you know, and he was a wonderful player, you know. They're just a typical, you know, club player. There's not many players stay at a club for 12 years,
yeah,
you know, and he was there, as a lot of them were. And I'm sure Rangers will respect everything that's happened.
And in the era in which he played, would he have got a testimonial then? Or were they not a thing then?
Oh no,
for the 12 years?
Well, he would have got a testimonial. I'm not sure if he did get one, but I know that, you know, you're talking about it. I mean, he won 3 league titles, 5 Scottish Cups. He also managed to bag himself 3 league cups, so he scored a considerable amount of goals, which is our quiz question actually. But he did, he did serve a really good period of time at Rangers. So
if you'd have had Andy Cameron sitting here instead of me today, he would have just told you everything about that man. I've barely ever been in Andy Cameron's company, and Jimmy Millar's name doesn't come up. Ralph Brand as well, of course.
It was one of the funniest days we had on the podcast, Tom, wasn't it?
Oh, it was great.
When Andy came in,
it was great fun.
He was
just ended up doing gags, if memory serves.
I don't think we talked about anything other than
we didn't.
Gags. He was absolutely brilliant, wasn't he, Ruffy? He was good fun. Brilliant. But Jimmy Millar was one of Andy Cameron's heroes, and we'd like to pass on the football show all our condolences, thoughts and prayers with the family at this very sad time. 87 years of age, and when I think most of his grandkids and his family look back at the pictures and of course all the medals, just a wonderful career.
And there's much stuff on YouTube. I wouldn't mind
it's about a 3-4 minute black and white montage, and it's quite good. Some Rangers fans have put up other montages, but there is one which has got some really good goals in it, you know, which I think is well worthy of watching. I certainly watched it anyway, just to get a flavour of him. He was just before I was born, but a lot of people that I know, Rangers fans, talk about him with all that he achieved, and certainly they hold him in high regard for his time at Rangers. So our thoughts with the family at this difficult time. You always, every day, Ruffy, you're just hoping you don't read out too many footballers who've passed away. It's always a sad time. Motherwell 0, Celtic 4. Tam, it was one of those days yesterday where I suggested Celtic would win 4-0, and the reason for that, Tam, is your guys are starting to play good football. Aye. Just before I do that, by the way, quiz question.
Yes.
How many goals did Jimmy Millar score for Rangers? It's well worth it. 317 games. How many goals did Jimmy Millar score for Rangers? Do you want to take a guess, Ruffy? Do you know the answer?
10 years, I would say 130.
130.
Well, if you're going 317 games, and he is such a famous name that even resonates now, I'm going to go the early 200s. I'd say he scored 220 goals in 317 games.
Okay, right, okay. So that's our quiz question. How many goals did Jimmy Millar score for Rangers in those 317 games? Motherwell 0, Celtic 4.
Yeah.
Your guys are playing good football, Tam, and that's not a good recipe for success against the way Celtic play.
I know. If you leave any room, for the midfield on, for some of the guys at Celtic who go into their team now, then they're going to punish you. But it was good. We had a go, pressed Celtic early on, didn't let them get into their stride with passing it about at the back. That's still, I think there must be Celtic fans still pulling their hair out when they see them starting that malarkey, you know, because it just puts the fear into you. A couple of times nearly came a cropper, but no, over the piece, Celtic were a lot better than us. But again, as I say, the huge gulf between the two clubs, between the two teams. You look at the benches, you know, the difference here. There's a rake of guys in the bench that Celtic could have maybe made their starting line-up from, you know. So as I say, that, you know, I try to bring it out in the open as much as I can now, because it only does get mentioned at European level. When Celtic or Rangers get pumped, they say, oh well, what chance did we have? Look at the money Liverpool's got, look at the money Real Madrid's got. Yeah. But again, folk keep missing the point. We, in fact, it was a financial expert at Strathclyde University who we got on the radio with one day a few years ago, pre-COVID, and when this same argument came up, and the guy stressed to us at the time, the example I think he was using was PSG, who had given Celtic a bit of a rogering, maybe even two.
Yeah, we were there, Ruffy.
And we were comparing it then. The guy said, look, the gap between Motherwell and Celtic is bigger than it is between Celtic and PSG, if you want to get all the figures out, you know. So in real terms, Motherwell have no right to get a result against Celtic. 4-0 actually for Big Ange should maybe be a sacking offence. You know, it should be 8-0. But no, I applaud them. I'll tell you who I applaud as well. I know maybe we could have done without a couple of the chants, perhaps a wee couple of the songs.
A couple of them.
End, yeah,
I agree with you.
Some of them I just don't understand, but there's certain ones with key words therein that you think, that can't be right. But what I'm going to say is the 2 tiers in the south stand, the Tommy McLean stand, is a lot of folk don't realise it has been renamed in honour of our legendary boss, packed out. Now that was for a 6:15 kick-off game, live on the telly. I know Premier Sports maybe isn't your go-to channel. A lot of folk haven't got the subscription for that. But yeah, well done to the Celtic fans that came out. It was absolutely rammed in that stand, and it did help create the atmosphere. But I think when Celtic get the second, Stevie Hamill said as much after the game in his interview with the club TV, that just knocked the stuffing out of it. It just killed the atmosphere, and it was game over it too.
Yeah, I did ask him, obviously, with the situation. I mean, listen, James Forrest scored a hat-trick at the weekend. He was dropped to the bench. I did ask Ange Postecoglou at the end if it's difficult for him as a manager to suddenly look at guys who've scored hat-tricks and say, you're not playing.
No, I don't tell them, I just avoid it, mate. It's an easy discussion, I just put the team up and walk away. So, like I said, I think they've all embraced that. They understand that, we saw last year what happens when we just, put the burden on just very few. You get a lot of injuries and performance is affected.
Yeah, it's one of those ones, Ruffy. I did say to my fellow journalists when I asked them that question, when the football writers team gets back together, I'm just putting the team sheet up and then I'm walking away. If you're not in the team, you're not in the team.
Yeah, but that's good for the team. When you don't have the players coming out throwing a wobbly. Yeah, James Forrest has taken it. He probably just said to him, look, 3 games a week for you is a bit much, so I'm leaving you out in this one, but you'll be in my plans. It's good man management. As long as you keep them all on board and you explain to them why they're not playing, you don't get a problem.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, if you thought we had a great quiz question earlier, we're looking for the shortest reign of a manager in Scotland. Yeah. There's an even better one. It needs a real football analyst who's tuned in. The player who was dropped, wasn't injured in it, was dropped after scoring a hat-trick. Score a hat-trick, don't feature in the next game.
That's James Forrest.
No, apart from him, obviously. I mean, as MD else as it happened.
Oh, scored a hat-trick, that was a great shout.
And then dropped.
Yeah.
He was dropped. There was no injury, there was no other issue, no suspension. Dropped after a hat-trick.
It's a good shout, actually. There'll be a few that will be... I
don't know where you'd find the answer to that.
Well, there'll be a few on here giving it big licks on it. As far as Celtic were concerned, I mean, they did have a number of chances before they eventually got the goal at the end of the first half and then the second half as well. Motherwell, a couple of sitters, I must admit. I mean, there was a great ball for Stuart McKinstry. He should have scored from Connor Shields' cross, which was a really good chance. Other than that, I saw Stevie Hamill applauding a lot of the players for the way they were trying to play the game, which I thought was certainly heartening for the future for Motherwell, and the way he wants his team to play. But he accepts himself. Once the second one went in, they were right up against it.
Doesn't kill it, but it takes the life out of us. It takes the life out of the stadium. It deflates us a little bit, it lifts them, it lets them make some changes and be a little bit more free in their play. So, yeah, the second goal's disappointing one, but good goals for their point of view, but from our point of view, absolutely avoidable.
Yeah, I'll tell you another thing, Tom, he was asked in the press conference about Louis Moult, I think there's a story there. I think he's absolutely miffed with the whole situation. He came on loan from Burton Albion, and I just get the feeling that he doesn't feel as if maybe he was fit enough to come and do a job.
Yeah, well, needless to say, there was a few folk, not Motherwell fans, having a wee jab at the time, saying that, oh, you've signed this guy and he's got 2 dodgy legs and dodgy knees and all the rest of it. But there's a wee bit immediately the heart rolling ahead. If you're a Motherwell supporter and you get a guy like Louis Moult back, you know, your mind is immediately cast back to the wondrous performances and the great scoring record. It was something like 58 goals in 120 games, which at Motherwell is pretty phenomenal. And we all remember him lobbing the Rangers keeper in the cup semi-final at Hampden. There was all these magical moments. So, you know, it sounds daft, but his medical records or his state of play, state of fitness is almost secondary. When we heard that he was coming back, we thought, no, he'll be fine. And when he goes out there, he can't wait to get back out for Motherwell. And lo and behold, when he was introduced to the fans, when we did bring him back up, he'd driven up the road on the Friday, I'm going back a few weeks now, and he was out and he was reintroduced to the crowd, and he was absolutely loving it.
Yeah.
You could tell what he thought of the club, what he thought of the fans, how happy he was to be back, and I thought this is going to be great. But then, save for a couple of appearances from the bench, he's not featured at all. And when he was left out a couple of weeks ago, the name wasn't on the team sheet at all. Apparently, I'd heard the word was an ankle knock, and you think, right, okay, how long's that going to last? You know, so it's going to be very, very interesting because I would love to see him get a chance playing up front with Kevin Van Veen. I would love to see it, and I don't know if Stevie Hamill's necessarily thinking that way himself, or he's got another role for him, but it'd be great to see him back there 100% fit, but it all does seem a wee bit strange just now.
I liked some of the football that Motherwell played last night, so once he gets people back, who knows?
And you know what, Peter, in terms of the football played, how much would a lot of those Celtic players have loved that playing surface?
But, well, can I tell you something?
That carpet.
The amount of people who actually sent me texts when we posted the picture of where I was and all that, look at the pitch. The pitch was in great nick, roughly. Absolutely fantastic. Rangers 1, Dundee 0. Rangers goal coming from Steve Davis, and they were booed off the park.
Yeah, well, you can see why. You know, the Rangers are going through a troubled time. You know, they're just not scoring the goals that they used to score. They used to play teams like Dundee and win 4, 5, 6-0, and that keeps the fans happy. But when that's not happening, they get a bit disgruntled, and they need to hammer somebody, you know, to just get everybody back on board. But you have to give credit to Dundee, you know, for going there, and it's only 1-0 with the vast difference, as Tam's just said there, and the financial side of it. So, no, well done to Dundee for getting up, just getting 1-0.
Yeah. You know what, let's not kid ourselves, Peter. There'd been a lot of the Rangers fans that were there last night who may have come maybe fresh for the boozer, round about Ibrox, or maybe in hospitality, and they watched Celtic going to Motherwell, putting on a show and scoring 4 goals, you know. And you know, fans always remember stuff like that when you're talking about the great rivalry between them. So they were obviously...
You've got to put it in perspective though, Tam. They're 2 points off the top.
Oh, I know.
And they're in the semi-finals.
But you know what? But for what I could gather reading social media and stuff last night and then this morning, a lot of them, what they were accusing the football of being was boring. And there's, you know, dare I say it, that takes me back to Graham Alexander at Motherwell. I know exactly what they mean. They just thought it was very turgid. They were lacking a bit of style, a bit of panache. Yeah. You know, there wasn't any of that. Players maybe taking on defenders and trying a wee different pass or anything, but it just felt like it was all very, very flat. And you know, and
I'll tell you what hasn't helped.
What?
The Champions League hasn't helped.
No, it hasn't helped.
The way they've been dismantled in Europe has been disheartening.
Because of that, they're hoping then, obviously hoping, I think this is realistic, if you're a Rangers fan there, they're hoping that Rangers should be able to do to Dundee what the likes of Ajax have done to Rangers, you know, or Liverpool, you know, they should be hoping that. And again, it goes back to the gulf. The gulf financially between Dundee and Rangers will be bigger than the gulf between Rangers and Liverpool.
Yeah,
Trust me in that.
I'll tell you, Giovanni Van Bronckhorst made no excuses. He said he completely understands why the fans were unhappy.
Of course I can understand. I wasn't happy as well. So, you know, when you're playing well, I mean, you should get the applause. all, but if you don't play well for a club like Rangers, they should boo you. And because we need to know and we need to feel that the performance we had today, last half an hour, isn't good enough, and we need to improve that.
Okay, he's not shirking his responsibility on it. He acknowledges the fact that maybe it wasn't up to the certain standard that he's demanding. Obviously, there was a kind of a negative aspect to the game and a positive one as well. One of them was that Ridvan Yilmaz is a young man who a lot of people were saying, wait a minute, you've signed him, haven't had a look at him, but he looked positive in that game. So that was one element that I think pleased a lot of Rangers fans.
Yeah, when you make a new signing and you pay that amount of money out there, you want to see them. A lot of people think they should be immediate starts, but sometimes it takes them a wee while to settle. But in the evidence of last night, I think they've got a really, really good player.
Yeah, and Alfredo Morelos, not happy at being subbed off, a wee boot in the dugout. The amount of players I've seen throwing the water bottle down, booting the dugout. Who likes getting taken off, Tom?
And then managers will come out. The easy get out there for a manager to say, that's exactly the attitude I want. I don't want to see a player who's happy at getting subbed, so that's okay. They always brush that stuff under the carpet. But, I just think it should have been a bit better from Rangers, but you always feel when you say that right away. I didn't see the game, so you think we've been brutally unfair here to Dundee. It was a big kind of free hit for Dundee, a wee break for the Championship, which they're obviously desperate to get out. That's a very, very tasty league. But yeah, so I didn't see the game myself, but 1-0 on paper certainly looks like a bit of moral victory for the Dens Park side.
Well, I can now understand why you're saying that Dundee will be there or thereabouts. Gary Boyer reckons the game could have been changed and tipped slightly in their favour had Fashion Sakala been sent off.
I did feel that Sakala should have been sent off for his challenge. I've seen it back and it's a red card, and that would have made the game interesting if they were down to 10, but it wasn't to be on that front.
Well, it's one of those times where, VAR coming this Friday, Ruffy. That will be a thing of the past.
Yeah, it'll be great. But you can just see how frustrated managers get. A lot of them interpret the way they see it when it's not really as bad as what they are. We've seen it numerous occasions. Oh, it's a red card, and it's not really a red card. I can see why you're saying it's a red card. But and it would, obviously, if Rangers get into 10 men, in his mindset, he's got to say, well, we would have had a chance. He never got sent off. Yeah.
What about your boys? 4-1 against Aberdeen.
Right. I'm not going to start where Tom started. I think the scoreline flattered them a wee bit. Yeah. Really. They got a goal early on and then they got an own goal and then they get a goal just before half time.
So 3-0 up.
And then Colley's sort of going, right, we've got a big game on Saturday. This game's sort of
gone.
Drifting away. So he made a couple of substitutions. In all fairness, we were better in the second half. We scored with another chance to make it 3-2, but after that they just started chasing the game. I think Aberdeen in the end were justified winners. I don't think we can complain. Our main problem is we had 2 or 3 players injured last night, and one of them quite bad, I believe. So hopefully it's not as bad as it was. But I'd like to thank the Aberdeen club for saying that taking Rangers out of the equation, Partick Thistle had the biggest away support this season.
Oh, brilliant.
I did see there the fans all up to support them.
How come you couldn't be arsed going?
That's been a long drawn out affair here. He's
getting off to get the lounge named after him, the Hall of
Fame. He did say this.
Take all the wee goodies out the director's room.
People are worried. There is an ongoing love situation here as well.
Right.
Basically what's happened is he said to everybody earlier on in the week he was going to Aberdeen, which we all looked on and thought, show finishes at 5, Tam.
Yes.
The game, is he going to make it up there in time? He reckoned.
If he loved the club, he would have.
Well, he reckoned he could make it in his car. What time?
I thought I could have got there about 7:30.
No chance.
Right, with all the roadworks and the things that are going on.
Roundabout, the kind of Bridge Allen.
That's the one. And then the Perth and the average speed cameras. So no all chance. Of that is in the mix. So people are saying, look, Ruffy, have a long, hard look at yourself. You're not making it for that time. So we said to him, look, send us a picture of yourself at Pittodrie at the time that you make it there. But Jerry Britton, other people intervened, and then obviously there's a lady on here, Catherine, who watches the show from Spain and has obviously mentioned that she'd be more than happy for Ruffy to come over and hoover her flat. Sometimes a look doesn't go well in a podcast. But anyway, hoover the flat, and she said, just basically, I hope he makes it up to Pittodrie in time. Hope Alan's safe.
Right.
So, I mean, clearly,
Terrible, you've got these ladies worried.
So there's a lot of interest. And Ruffy, I think the advice that you got from other people, not us, swayed your decision.
Yes, no, I'd phoned the RSE and they told me exactly what Tam said. There's no chance you'd get there before that time.
But good on, do you know how many Thistle fans did go up?
I think there was about 600 or 700, but we laid on buses for them. Laid on buses.
You left that bit out, didn't you?
No, that just shows you how good a club we are, that we actually laid on buses.
Absolutely, good. So, cuffed 4-1, and I think the bigger fish to fry is the title.
Yes, it is. Big game against Queen's Park at the weekend, and as I say, a couple of injuries last night. I hope they're not too serious, but we should put up a good performance. We haven't been beaten at home this year.
Okay.
And Ian McCall did get in contact with Scott Lambie, the ref, and apologise.
Yes, he did.
Last Wednesday.
Coming on your show was a big factor of
It was
that.
weird. He texted us in the morning. He texted me, he says, do you think you could do us a wee favour on your show today?
Yeah.
And I thought, right, what's this? He'll be asking us to promote something, maybe something at the clubs. And I says, aye, sure. I was in my way into the BBC. And then he get back to me and he just sent basically in inverted commas a quote that he was clearly just wanting me to read it, and it was sensational, and other media outlets picked up on it. They spent a bit of time talking about it on Sports Sound, but he basically said he was very, very unhappy by his outburst the night before against Scott Lambie and he said it verged on bullying what he was saying about him. I thought Ian was being a wee bit hard on himself there, but it was great to come out and effectively, clearly had a bit of a sleepless night, I think, and he wanted to just kind of wipe the slate clean, and so I think he was hoping to hook up with the guy for a coffee or that, wherever they were in their own individual lives. That wasn't going to happen. So he apparently had a long phone call with him on a Wednesday, and he said that's it, the matter's finished now.
Brilliant.
And I think a lot of folk can learn from that. That's maybe because they do take a bit of a pummeling, and maybe, if you like, when we're leaving it to VAR and the cameras, which will get almost every decision correct, trust me in that, maybe it's time for other managers, other players to think back, right, who did I give an absolute rollicking to, and they didn't deserve it, because it's a hard job.
Jim Goodwin will phone Ryan Porteous. Can't see it. Thanks to Stephen Hardy.
Who'd you offer an apology to, Peter? If I think back in your career, who's somebody to say, I wish I'd just, even if I saw them now, I would just say, look, I was really sorry about that.
Wow, that's such a good question, isn't it, Ruffy? Let me think about that.
Right,
Can I think about that?
Have
you got one as well?
Ruffy? No, because I'm a nice guy.
Yeah.
I would apologise at the time.
Well, I think, we'll need to really think about it then. Stephen Hardy says, Peter, would short tenure as manager go to Kenny Millar at Livingston? He was in the 1st of July 2018 and he was gone by the 22nd of August.
Well, that's a great shout.
That's a good one,
and you know what? You could have a wee list of them at Livy, because I give you Richard Gough.
Yeah, he had a short spell.
I forgot that.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's a great show.
I'll give you as well Paul Lambert at the same club.
Yeah.
A lot of folk forget that as well.
Yeah, Livy had a wee period.
Oh, and what was the one that, because of a reason, Owen Coyle, he came in and he went, was that Ross County? That wasn't very long ago.
That wasn't long.
Something had happened.
Yeah.
At the club.
So that's
and a way back to Partick Thistle as well, because I still laugh about, in fact I laughed about it with him fairly recently, because I was on at a do with him, Big Derek Johnston, and I say, Rangers great and all that, and says he's also a Partick Thistle manager back in there. I says, what a fortnight that was. Because remember, he was very short-lived.
Ken Bates took him for Chelsea.
Is that what happened,
Yes, because Derek was at Chelsea and Ken Bates took over at Thistle.
Right, there you go.
In.
Yeah.
There's a few.
Was it 2 weeks?
I don't know how long it was.
Must have been longer than that.
I think your chap who sent in the Kenny Millar, I think that's a winner.
That's a good shout. Anyway, the semi-final draw, here's how it all looks for the 4 teams that are going to Hampden to play in the semi-final.
Hot balls.
Yep. I know. Rangers against Aberdeen, Celtic against Kilmarnock. So it could be an Old Firm final, Ruffy, but I'm sure Aberdeen and Kilmarnock will have something to say about it.
Yeah, I mean, you go to a semi-final, you throw all the stats out the window. You just hope your players perform on the day, and maybe the bigger teams have an off day or somebody gets sent off or something like that, and these things can happen in these games. So no, for me it's all about the players getting to Hampden, the fans getting there, they all turn up. It's a great day, and then obviously if it goes well for you, good. If it doesn't, then you just build on it for the rest of the season.
And when you look at the draw, Peter, that's how I said to you at the time, and you might have raised an eyebrow, but it was better Motherwell getting Celtic at this stage than in a semi-final, because okay, we get pumped last night, but we did have Celtic in our own patch. We did have Celtic in front of a big home support.
Yep.
Rather, Kilmarnock will now, when they play them at Hampden, I'm sure they'd have preferred it the last round as well. Rugby Park, artificial turf, da-di-da-di-da. You suddenly go, what is home territory for Celtic and their supporters? That's a game in Glasgow. Don't anybody try to tell me that's a neutral venue, right?
No, you're right.
It is not, and it's the vast expanse of Hampden. It's a totally different ball game for Kilmarnock.
I think, on the basis of what we are reading out here from Rangers fans and the evidence of them booing the team off the park against Dundee, Aberdeen must fancy their chances, Ruffy, of thinking they could be there for the taking.
At this moment in time, yeah, but I think the Rangers are still superior players to Aberdeen. I think Aberdeen, excuse me, haven't shown that consistency yet, that they're good enough to go there, but they'll be hoping for the days that I'm talking about. You know, on any given day, something can happen.
Yeah.
You win the game.
Okay. And the game isn't until, what you're saying, it's mid-January.
Yeah.
Right, so you don't know what state Rangers or indeed Aberdeen will be in come then.
Yeah, absolutely. Football on this day, just before we talk about the weekend's football as well and read out a few more of your messages, and we'll just give you that quiz question again. Jimmy Millar sadly passed away today. How many goals did Jimmy Millar score for Rangers in 317 games? See if you can give us the answer before we get to the end of the programme. We will deliver that answer for you. Football on this day, 20th of October 1999. It was a belter of a game, Tam. It was 6-5. Aberdeen won it against Motherwell at Fir Park. I think, if my memory serves me correctly, Aberdeen had a black strip on that night with a kind of a gold band on it.
The only thing that sticks out to me, Peter, was the two goalkeepers that night who lost 11 goals between them were Jim Leighton and Andy Gorham.
Yes.
And again, we're making these quiz questions harder and harder, but when is the last time that two goalies in the pitch with collectively 134 caps between them lost 11 goals between them?
Well, it's a great shot. It's a great shot. I was actually going to say to you, I thought the way that question was going, I said, I wonder how many caps Joe Hart has got with David Marshall when Celtic played against him. That was 6-1. You know, but
it was incredible. And you know what, Peter, the 6-5, I'll remind you as well, this was classic Motherwell. You've heard me say this before with Motherwell. Any time anybody needs a win, they seem to play Motherwell next. A goalie needs a clean sheet. Oh, it's Motherwell we've got next. Just very, very recently it was summed up best. The minute Liverpool put 7 past Rangers, I didn't need to look at fixtures to who Rangers played next. I knew it was Motherwell, right? And it just always happens. But that time, way back there in October 1999, and I kid you not, if you look up the stats, Aberdeen up to that point in October had scored, I think it was 3 goals all season. At what money?
Going into that match, I'd written this down. Aberdeen had lost all their previous 7 league matches that season.
How many goals had they scored?
Scoring just a single goal.
Oh, it was 1. So they'd scored 1 goal up to that point, even better. And they came to us and they put 6 past us, you know. And the only reason, apart from that great stat about the caps to the goals with Gorham and Leighton, it's only because of the 6 each game. When you spool on a few years to 2010, the Motherwell Hibs one, it's only because of that game that this one is kind of sadly forgotten about. You know,
it was a belter of a game. I think Gregor's just said there Robbie Winters scored a hat-trick. The last time I saw Robbie Winters, he wasn't capable of scoring a hat-trick, Ruffy. He was 3 sheets. No, he's 3 sheets to the wind in the Ballarop Hall. You know, which is usually what happens when we all go to the Ballarop Hall, isn't it?
We
have a right good night out
the back of 7.
That's what happens.
That's our favourite venue.
That's what happens when you get 50 quid a ticket. It's all
back here tomorrow. Is it Saturday night?
Saturday night. Looking forward to it.
Sadly, I'll be in my holidays.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is great. Which is great news for us, Tom.
That's right.
Fantastic. Anyway, Hibs against St Johnstone. I've just got the note here. Hibs have just put out this note. Hibernian against St Johnstone on Friday. Sold out.
Brilliant.
It's ticket exchange now open. It's the largest home attendance in 33 years, and the worldwide pay-per-view on sale for £10. It's going to be absolutely fantastic at Easter Road. That is a great bit of news for a match that's got VAR as well.
It's fantastic. Is it actually on the telly?
No,
it's not on the telly. So everybody wants to be there, you know. And obviously Willie Collum's refereeing the game. We had Willie Collum a couple of weeks ago, and I think Willie's a top class referee.
Yeah,
he can be a wee bit over officious.
Yeah.
You know? So if you think you're going to that game and you're just going to get 90 minutes, you're going to give it another 20 onto that.
Yeah.
Looking at the VR.
We'll see. We'll see how it plans out.
Crawford Allen did mention to me, Tam, and I think it's a good point. If it takes a wee bit longer because they're getting used to the system to get to the right decision, we've got to cut them some slack.
Absolutely. And you know what? I'll say two things about it. First up, before any Celtic, Rangers or Hearts fans are screaming at you, Peter, and saying, we must have been the club that drew the biggest attendance to Easter Road. What, of course, explains that is that Hibs against St Johnstone, they won't have the same segregation concerns, so that's why they'll be able to really pack the stadium out, you know. Hibs St Johnstone isn't really any great animosity between supporters or anything, you know, so it's great that it's sold out. And what I would say now, and Peter, I'd be shocked if you disagree with me here, it's all about showbiz. Now that it is officially sold out, with this being the first VAR game, somebody's got to move in now and put it on the telly. You know, Sky's got to say, wait a minute, we want to say that we showed the first VAR game live in Scotland. The BBC, even somebody. And the thing is, you know, you're no kind of hurting them to hear by showing it once it is officially sold out.
Yeah.
It just makes perfect sense to me. And in fact, when Ruffy, I'd assumed it wasn't a telly. And I was looking forward to watching this, and everybody wants to see it. No harm to Hibs or St Johnstone, but everybody's wanting to see VAR in operation.
Well, you guys would have a wee bit of spare cash as well now, Tam, because obviously with the government crashing around itself, they don't have their targets set on BBC's budget. So there might be some extra dosh in the kitty to buy that game on Friday. There might be.
There won't be, because the Friday night game's Cumnock versus Dumbarton.
Oh, is that the Cup?
Is that on the Alba?
No, that's in the BBC Scotland channel.
Is that right? Oh, well, there's no chance of that.
And you know what? I wouldn't deny them. You imagine you're a Pollock fan. They've always been a decent, very decent junior team. Ruffy knows more about that level than us. But for them to get their day in the sun, if you like the live game on the BBC and against Dumbarton, where you already sniff, you know, that's a wee chance for Pollock here, you know. So no, I wouldn't deny them that. But in the era, sadly, when they can go wall to wall with games of football, you know, they can have them on every channel at the same time. I am astonished, particularly now that the game is sold out, that somebody hasn't swept in and put that on the box. There's a game that everybody wants to see now.
Yeah, absolutely. Hibs against St Johnstone, I think it's a tough one to call. Ruffy, where are you going with that one? I'm going to go Hibs to win it.
Oh, I'm going for Hibs all day long. I thought St Johnstone had got their act together and were a wee bit harder to beat, but they're away from home, so, you know, I think Hibs full. I mean, Hibs full attendance. They've got to win that one.
Yeah, I know there's no goal line technology yet, but they're still going to use VAR to help in this decision making. If there is is it a goal? Is there a goal?
I mean, even I'll give you an example. Last night, a wee instant you made a call for the game. I can't mind who it was, but somebody had a thunderous shot for Celtic that scalped off the underside down and back out.
And Abada tried to.
And my instinct was, I thought that's in, better that's in. And I was immediately thinking, glad no VR. My pal Marcus sitting right next to me, he was right on. He's got Premier Sports on his phone, and when they showed it, turns out, and they don't get enough credit for us because it was like that. It was a rocket shot, but it didn't cross the line. That's, you know, right, when they'd slowed it down for the benefit of telly. there was no a goal. So, you know, again, particularly the linesmen always think get a bit of a raw deal here. You think when a guy hits a shot like that, shots that were like going in against you for Brazilians and that, by the time the ball struck, the linesman's getting no chance of getting up to Berlin with a goal line. That would be impossible.
There was one of the Kilmarnock game. Kilmarnock Dundee United.
Yeah.
A shot the same hit the bar and it comes in.
Well, I'll tell you, apart from anything else, I'm looking forward to the whole aspect of what they're offering, because we're moving forward. It's long overdue, and I can't wait to see the fallout next week on whether we're going to be happy with it in the initial period and how long it's going to take to settle down. But nevertheless, Hibs against St Johnstone. Willie Collum, the referee, VAR in operation. Here we go. Will it be for the betterment of the game? What do you think about it all?
Of course, well, I was full of praise earlier, as you'll recall, for the Celtic fans who packed out the South Stand at Motherwell last night. I wish they would give it a break though with the referees. They're going on again. The first VAR Celtic game, Celtic Hearts, I think Saturday. Stephen McLean is in charge, so they're immediately piling on it. Stephen McLean, that's us. We've got no chance. He'll be crooked. He'll be doing this. He'll be doing that. And then somebody put up the stats about the amount of games that Celtic have won when Stephen McLean was officiating against the amount of games that Rangers have won when Stephen McLean. And Celtic was way up there, you know. What? So that is a nonsense that Stephen McLean has got that in for Celtic. So he'll be very fair with the VAR. And it always goes back to my core point. If all these referees and linesmen and fourth officials and anybody else involved in the match official side of the game, if they were against Celtic, how on earth did Celtic manage to win a quadruple treble?
I think it's a good point.
How did that happen?
I think it's a good point, Tam. The worrying aspect is I would never, ever read anybody who starts questioning a referee for bias, and I certainly don't look at games and think that referee's in there, he's going to be favouring this or the other. Your mind needs to be worked for it.
And I say as well, Peter, I don't see the need, incidentally, why they had to name who's doing the VAR. I think that could have been kept absolutely anonymous. It's just VAR, as if they're all right. It's different guys looking after it, but it doesn't matter who it is, because you're just going to get the same accusations made.
I wouldn't buy into it. I think we've got to just embrace it, give it time, let the teething problems quickly disappear, and let's move on and hope it really does help our game. Hearts against Celtic. I've got a wee bit of news for you, Tam, and Ruffy, that you obviously, very unusual for me, but Hearts against Celtic. Robbie Nielsen against Ange Postecoglou, and we sent our reporter Kerry Pollock out there to the Oriam to find out about the Hearts camp.
Robbie Nielsen's side have had the whole week to prepare for Celtic ahead of Saturday. Hearts will be in desperate need to get a positive result out of this game, with 4 defeats in their last 5 fixtures and an injury list that seems endless. But despite the negative run the club have been on, there's no other team the manager would rather face.
I think if you ask me for a game to play in, to come into, after a difficult result last week, then this is the one you want. You want to play at home, you want to play against one of the big teams in the league, so we can go all guns blazing and try and win the game.
In their last meeting at Celtic Park, Alex Cochrane was one of 2 Hearts players to be shown a red card, so he's no stranger to coming up against a fierce Celtic side.
Yeah, it's one of those games. I think sometimes you do have to sort of take bookings against Celtic. If you give them too much respect, then they can potentially walk all over you. From that game, we stuck in there from the start to the end, and we knew it was going to be a tough game. I think on Saturday we've got the crowd behind us. We know what Tynecastle is going to be like, and we need to be fully at it and start at 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, it'll be a frantic game. Our reporter Adam Binney is going there, Ruffy, and I'm hobnobbing it. I'm going to do hospitality. Meeting up with a couple of old friends of mine, Jambos, and
Like the Sky Lounge.
We're going to do a wee hospitality in the Hearts End.
Where's the game?
It's at Tynecastle.
That's what I'm saying, up the Sky. No, they've got the Sky, the new bit in the main stand.
Oh, have they?
The Sky something. Gary Locke keeps saying to me, "Do you want to come along? Do you want to come along?" But I've never had the chance. It's utterly stunning. I was in it for a drink. I was doing a gig at Tynecastle the same night they were playing Aberdeen. I think a quarter final of the cup. And I went up after it. It was absolutely.
Well, can I tell you something about it? Hearts continually win awards for the standard of food and the hospitality at Tynecastle. It is first class, Ruffy. I know all the guys in there, and should be a good table. Obviously, I'm taking my nephew just in case it all kicks off.
love Tynecastle. I think it's great, and since I've done it all up with all the glass frontage and everything.
Tell you who else, Falkirk do a really nice hospitality package as well.
Well, we must go there too.
It's been really, really good.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, Hearts Celtic. The way Celtic are playing, Ruffy, I just think they're going to give them a
well, they're no Hearts aren't getting into this with any form at all.
What do you do if you're sitting at hospitality and the general, the body of the table's all jambos? Do you just...
Don't wear anything green.
That's a given. That's a given. It's a stonewall certainty. Tam, have you been in that situation?
No, the hospitality thing washes over me, Peter.
No chance. You must have been invited to more than a few.
Oh, you get invited, but again, you just think it. 28 years I've been doing the radio,
yeah,
and
you never get a chance.
Saturday, so you couldn't make the most of it.
What about midweek?
No, midweek, you know what I'm like. If it's a midweek game at Motherwell, and again, the kick-off spoiled it for us last night. It just upset all the plans. But if that game would have been on at a sensible hour last night, then me and the boys would have met up in the afternoon, few bevies, tap end of Motherwell, a wee de Claudio's or Indian Villa for a bit of scran, and then up there.
Is the daughter not been back? Is she just taking a wee...
Oh, no, wee lassie. No, again, you've got to look at the fixtures, and you've got to look... Saturdays are tricky. It was a Sunday that I took her, and that worked out a treat. I wasn't in the radio, and that was only because of the death of Queen Elizabeth. So a bit of extraordinary circumstances. So it meant I had nothing on that day, work-wise. She was free on the Sunday and away, but she's absolutely desperate to get back.
Yeah, another Hearts fan that always says hello to me when I'm at Tynecastle, Lynn, and she's going to the shareholders' dinner tonight.
Oh,
Lynn, so there you are. Lynn Aoki.
Well, Lynn's an old off-the-ball legend.
Well, there you are.
Lynn got on
absolutely.
The Jambo in Japan, she was for a while.
Yeah.
And then, but she's back here in Edinburgh now. But oh God, I have known her for a while.
Okay, Lynn, great that you support us as well. We like everybody does the crossover, but Hearts Celtic could be a difficult one. Then it's Killie against Ross County for the first match without, Kyle Lafferty. They'll have to get on without him.
Yeah, they will, but they'll be buoyant. Obviously, we get into the semi-final. I would like to think there'll be a large turnout for Killie fans. As they're desperate to get their fans back. But Ross County just continually pick up points here and there.
Yeah, and
maybe just as well, Kyle isn't he featuring that one with the VAR and all the extra cameras.
Yeah, absolutely. First yellow for you. Motherwell against Aberdeen, we've already discussed because Tam and Stephen Hamill and the players have mentioned it's such a huge one for them. There's only 3 points between them in the league, but if Motherwell can get the win, they're certainly
I'm not talking about honeymoon periods or anything like that. Stephen Hamill's an absolute legend at a club, and the fans see already the difference he's made to the style of play, but it would be nice for him to just tuck away a wee 3 points sooner rather than later.
I agree with you. Let's hope that happens on Saturday. Apologies to Aberdeen fans. Rangers against Livingston, VAR in operation. David Martindale is looking forward to it. He told our reporter, Kerry Pollock.
Livingston head to Ibrox this weekend to face Rangers in what some might consider to be one of the most significant weekends in Scottish football. The introduction of VAR officially comes into effect in Scotland on Friday night, but the majority of the Premiership teams will face the latest technology on Saturday afternoon. But less about VAR and more about the game. With injury hindering the Rangers squad at the moment, David Martindale is hopeful that his side can pile the pressure on to Giovanni van Bronckhorst and his men.
I know they've got big injuries. For me, Connor Golson's one of the best right centre halves in the country. So they're missing Connor, just as an example. Ryan Jack, so they're missing some big players. Kamara as well. I could go on and on, but they're missing some big players for them that are influential for them, and we've got to try and turn every negative Rangers have had or have got into a positive for Livingston.
They're one of those teams that's always tricky to play against if you're not on form.
Absolutely. And they keep defying the odds. Livingston, David Martindale, I think so many folk have got respect for him. That we were talking about folk redeeming themselves earlier. Peter, there's a guy's textbook, what that guy did after his less than glorious past.
Yeah.
And that's how I even like the fact that, I don't know what the latest isn't it, but I knew he was like getting Lee Griffiths in there. To train.
Well, he's got Dylan McGee up there as well.
I thought that was a perfect kind of fit, because David Martindale obviously understands that everybody should have a second chance, and everybody should grab that second chance. He knows that the troubles that Lee Griffiths has had.
I wouldn't rule it out if he can get some sort of fitness, if he announces him in January. And McGeoch for me is a great player, but he needs to be fit.
Yeah, but they let Griffiths go to Australia, and he was over in Australia playing, so you would like to think he'd come back a lot fitter than what he was before he went. So.
Okay, we're running out of time, so I'm going to St Mirren against Dundee United. I don't like to cut you off in your prime, Ruffy. St Mirren take on Dundee United. We'll talk about that in greater detail tomorrow as well. Stephen Robinson against Liam Fox. Our producer did remind us, I think, that Liam Fox has been in charge for 49 days, so he's safe. He's beyond the Cloughie and the Liz Truss length. English Premier League. Last night there was a few tasty games. Liverpool defeated West Ham by a 1-0, but there was one game. Manchester United defeated Tottenham by 2-0. There was how it all played out across Tuesday and Wednesday because of the fixtures that they're trying to cram in now with the World Cup looming. Crystal Palace defeating Wolves, but that one there with Manchester United 2, Tottenham 0 was interesting because it prompted the Manchester United manager to mention that quite a lot of people spotted Ronaldo heading off, 2 minutes to go up the tunnel, not a happy man, and Erik ten Hag says he's going to have a word.
Don't pay attention today. We deal with that tomorrow. And I want to get the focus on this team. It was a magnificent performance from all the 11 players. We deal with that tomorrow. And I think what we have seen today was 11 players who defend, 11 players who attack. And there was a lot of dynamic. And there was a lot of dynamic in the attack as well.
You never like to see it, Ruffy, but that's a manager just saying, by the way, I'm playing players who are going to defend and attack.
Yeah, we've spoke about it on numerous occasions. Ronaldo is a fantastic player, and he has been. But again, when Man United aren't hitting the heights that they should be hitting, the manager has to make serious decisions, and the serious decisions is he wants 11 players all fighting for each other, and at this moment in time, Ronaldo doesn't seem to be that player.
Yeah, and you can't start having a pop. I mean, look at some of their results earlier in the season.
Yeah.
The guy picked the team that he fancied last night, and they beat Tottenham, who are no mugs, 2-0. Right, now it wouldn't have shocked him, particularly a few weeks back, if Tottenham had gone there and won 3-0. You know what I mean?
I think he's going to leave in January, though.
Well, exactly, and he'd pet it up and all that. Get away and no annoy me, Yeah. He picked the right team last night for the right game, and he got the 3 points in the bag, which was absolutely crucial to United.
Yeah, okay. Last point before I reveal the answer to our Jimmy Millar question. Michael Beale knocked back the chance to manage Wolves. We put a poll out, and 86% of the people who took part in that poll think he's made the right decision to stay at Queen's Park Rangers. I don't know about you, Tam, but I think Wolves are like a Sunderland. It's a poison chalice. If you want to end your career quickly, go there.
They've all been there. But I was quite, because there's so many Rangers fans huffing and puffing about Giovanni Van Bronckhorst. He's clearly well thought of by a lot of Rangers fans. I keep saying his name being connected with Rangers, of course, but then the big sticking point there, of course, you even think about how much money will he be on. Whatever he's decided to stay then. Right. So he'll be good though. But you're right about Wolves. You'd love to get a list of the guys that have managed them, even in, let's say, the last 10 years.
Yeah.
It must be. Is Steve Bruce been there? There's names that you just know. And he's not been there.
No, but he's going.
Right. Mark McCarthy must have been.
He has been, yeah.
Mark McGee.
Mark McGee has been there, yeah, you're right.
Trot out these names that you just know must have been there.
But Michael Beale is, fast becoming a man with a good reputation.
Yeah, he's doing something behind the scenes that these big clubs are noticing. So it'll be an interesting one how he came to that conclusion. But I think we can all sum it up. I think QPR are going to come up and Wolves are going to come down. So I think that'd be the reason he's staying.
Okay, lots of things that we managed to cram in today, lots of opinion, which you always get. It's PLZ Soccer. If you download the app, you get all the latest breaking news. If you watch us every day, Monday to Friday at 4 o'clock, if you download the app, you can get it on the actual phone, tablet, or your PC as well. There's the website with the news, and of course there's lots of unique video content. I hope you can join us on a regular basis. The answer to the quiz, it was one of those tricky ones. I know the way you were thinking.
How many games did he play?
317. So he got 162 goals.
Oh, that's decent.
It is decent, isn't it?
One every other game.
Yeah, he was a fabulous player for Rangers, and I think a lot of people maybe of a certain vintage who watched him in the flesh Scottish will maybe just be a little bit sadder tonight with the passing of Jimmy Millar, a great Rangers player. Listen, it's all about football. We love talking about it. It's absolutely free to watch this online content. Hit the subscribe button and join us. Great to have Tam with us as ever on a Thursday. From Ruffy and myself, Peter Martin, thanks for watching.